It is a cat. He's Nurgle's chosen. My favorite heretic. Hey, Brady. Alright, hello everybody. You got to see Nurgle's chosen. His brand new creation, that horrific beast. But Fat Shark really came through with this most recent Grim Protocols update. In particular, I haven't tried the Ogryn's heavy stub gun yet, but the two new Greatswords. Two new weapons that I'm talking about are, of course, the Relic Blade for the Zealot and the Blaze Force Greatsword for the Psyker. So we'll start with the Relic Blade first. It has two marks, the Munitorum MK10 as well as the Munitorum MK2. And they do have Vanguard and Strike Down interchangeably. So the MK10 has a light attack of a Vanguard of a 218 with a heavy attack of a Strike Down of 330. And of course the MK2 has the light attack of a 248 Strike Down and a heavy attack of a 272 Vanguard. So far I've only really been playing with the MK10. And I'll be honest, I really like the heavy attack Strike Down on it. It kind of works in a way where it's similar to like the bayonet charge for the veterans. You'll basically be sprinting, you'll hold up your sword, and you can do a kind of a lunging attack, which pairs super well with the veteran's fury, with the zealot's fury of the faithful. You kind of have a little charge of your own, and then you can have another little boosted charge if you want. Both variations of the weapon are classified as power weapon with a cleaving strike ability. They do have very high finesse. Both marks have very high finesse damage, and they also work with a heat management system. Now, in my opinion, this is how power weapons should have worked from the beginning. I know that a lot of people like them, and they are fun to use, especially the hammer on the Zealot. The Crusher is probably one of my favorite weapons on the Zealot so far. And of course, the Veteran does have their power swords and such. Now, the reason I like this so much more than the other variations thus far is because of that heat management system. You do have the ability to just charge up the Relic Blade and have it constantly be on within a time frame. It does have a bar that can overheat, and you can't really manually lower heat management, but you can turn it off, which kind of allows, like, almost similar to like the heavy shield in Space Marine 2. You're able to turn it off, conserve, and not have to wait for that cooldown to go all the way down once it overheats, which I think is a fantastic addition for a mechanic in this game. So this really allows for more of a beneficial gameplay as far as using power swords are. You're spending a lot less time charging up the sword, taking a hit, charging it up again, and a lot more time charging it up once, getting all your high damage out, using it to its full capability, and then turning it off. Kind of getting that time to go down a little bit, recharge it, and get it ready. Now, I know I don't have a lot of the blessings unlocked. I'm trying to get these videos done before I go into work. But a lot of the blessings seem to kind of be similar to like the plasma gun, where the blessings themselves kind of rely on either your weapon being at high heat levels, granting extra strength, extra crit, or actually overloading your weapon, getting it to go all the way up on the heat gauge, such as overload, where when you reach lockout state, you cause an explosion around you and it immediately reduce heat by 10%. I'm sure that number goes up as the blessing goes up, so I'll have an update video on that perhaps sometime soon. And as someone else described it, it has all the great effects of the Zealot's dagger with the crit abilities and finesse abilities, mixed with the chainsword capabilities of heavy attacks, really just shredding armor and kind of taking care of large hordes for you. This is the first weapon that I've used in this game where I am actually happy to have a blend of strike down and Vanguard attacks available to us. Sometimes the strike down attack patterns can be almost detrimental to you. This one it always feels like it's doing damage no matter what, and the attack patterns really benefit the gameplay. I think that it's a great buff for Zealots. I think that hopefully it shows Fat Shark that Veteran needs a little love. I used to be a Veteran main, and that kind of changed as time went on. I don't enjoy Veteran as much anymore. I still love them. They're always going to hold a big place in my heart. But right now, especially with the addition of these new weapons, Zealot is just at the top of the food chain. Alright, now we can move on to the Psyker. So, the Psyker hasn't seen a ton of love. I mean, it is a really strong class. I think it's right below Zealot, in my opinion. But this was a huge boost for them, in my opinion. The Blaze Force Greatsword comes in 2 marks. It comes in the Covenant MK8 and the Covenant MK6 marks. The MK6 does have a Vanguard light attack of 147 with a heavy attack strike down of 467, whereas the MK8 has a light attack of 147 Vanguard and the heavy attack is 292 Vanguard. Obviously, those numbers change a little bit with each, created weapon, but just kind of a ballpark number there. Now, again, this sword, excellent finesse damage, great cleave capability, and it really, because I've always liked the Blaze Force swords in general, but this one just takes the cake. It does work a little bit differently from the Zealot's Relic Blade, so it is a warp weapon, so you will have to charge it up and use peril, right? You will have to end up using peril. But it kind of works in a way where if you're a fan of like the dueling sword on Psyker and you end up really enjoying melee Psyker and feel like it could have used a little love, well, this is your time to shine. This thing is nuts. So what you end up doing is the more damage you do with it, the more kills you get with it. You'll see these 2 little bars start to charge up. You kind of want to try as hard as you can to get that as high up as you can before you actually activate it and use it, because what it ends up doing is sending out a Warp Shock Slash. And this thing is like a fucking sniper rifle. I mean, it becomes like a bullet hell for the enemies. Of course, you only get one that you send out, but this thing can just clear hordes of enemies. It can really snipe ranged enemies if you're kind of bogged down a little bit. And I think honestly, this is Scryer's Gaze savior. What they were trying to do before with that whole change up on the Psyker tree with things like Charge Strike, Enfeeble, Lightning Speed by Crack of Bone, and Warp Splitting, stuff like that, right? That whole right side of the tree where they kind of tried to make melee Psyker a little bit more of a priority. This just redeemed it. Not only that, but Wildfire also seriously comes into play here. That mixed with Disrupt Destiny, I mean, everything around you starts becoming squishy. Everything around you, you use Scryer's Gaze, and like almost everything around you just lights on fire. It's fantastic. And then, of course, with every kill, Wildfire tends to proc, and that fire just keeps spreading around you. It's just fantastic. And then, of course, just having Smite, just the ability to disable enemies if you need to, mixed with the Recon Lasgun, and just that mixed with the perks at the top that really end up giving you toughness regeneration based on things like Peril Generated and Peril Quelled. And then, of course, Warp Attack kills will give you an additional toughness if you decide to build into those perks. The capabilities of melee Psyker are even more heightened than they've ever been. They did a great job. I haven't, like I said, had a chance to try out the Ogryn's Heavy Stubber. I actually just made a video talking about Point Blank Barrage and how much I don't really like it in its current state. Someone made a good point on the comments in that video and did point out that, it probably would be a great, and it is. Let me backtrack a little bit. It is a great combat ability, but I think it needs a little bit more support from its perks and its ability modifiers in terms of ammo consumption, as well as just its overall survivability. You are a little bit of a big moving target, and yes, they do have perks that increase your movement speed while aiming down sights, but it still feels a little underwhelming compared to their other 2 Loyal Protector and Indomitable combat abilities. But anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying this new update. I love it. I think Havoc mode is a great addition to the game. Not just, I'll make a video on that. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoy this new update, and take care.